Hey, welcome to my little corner of the internet. If this is your first visit, hit subscribe and share the love. I'm super curious. Where are you tuning in from? I read every comment, so don't hold back. Let's get into it. My name is Tom, and not long ago, I truly believed I was just weeks away from the greatest day of my life. I was engaged to Cynthia Martin, and we'd spent nearly 5 years building a life together. We shared a compact, comfortable apartment in the heart of the city, close to my office and a short walk from the boutique where Cynthia worked. Our life felt dependable, steady, and genuinely fulfilling. Cynthia's parents, Samuel and Elaine, had always been warm and encouraging toward our relationship. When we told them about our engagement, they surprised us with a gift we never expected, a check for $45,000 to pay for the entire wedding. Samuel handed it to me himself over dinner, his voice calm and deliberate. "This is for your wedding," he said plainly. "It's not for anything else. We want you two to start your life together free of financial stress." I looked him straight in the eye and promised I'd treat the money with the utmost care. The very next day, I went to my credit union and set up a brand new savings account dedicated solely to our wedding funds. I registered it under my name for the better interest rates, but I made sure Cynthia had a debit card tied to it so she could pay deposits as needed. We had one simple rule. No charges would be made without both of us discussing and agreeing on them first. Cynthia appreciated the clarity of that setup. I liked how it made everything transparent and easy to manage. Over the following weeks, we were fully immersed in wedding preparations. We paid a $10,000 deposit for the venue almost immediately. I created a detailed, color-coded spreadsheet to monitor every expense. Cynthia chuckled the first time she saw it, but admitted it gave her peace of mind. Our weekends quickly filled with vendor appointments, florists, caterers, photographers. Her best friend Tessa came along more than once, tossing out elaborate ideas like towering floral arrangements, embroidered tablecloths, even a fireworks show. I stayed polite, but kept reminding them our budget wasn't infinite. Cynthia would just laugh and say, "Tom, relax." "This is meant to be fun," I tried to believe her, because for a while it truly did feel like we were building something special. We had locked in a wedding date, chosen all our vendors, and had a financial system that worked. Everything looked like it was lining up. But in hindsight, the signs were already flashing. I just didn't know what I was looking at. Then came the collapse, early on a Thursday morning. Around 6 a.m., I woke up to a string of alerts from my credit union. My first thought was that the app was glitching. Too many notifications arriving back to back, each one flagging unusually high charges. I tapped the first alert, and my stomach dropped. A $19,200 charge, 2 nights earlier, at the Palisade Grand in Las Vegas. I scrambled to open the full account. When it finally loaded, I stared in disbelief. A balance that had been over $40,000 a few days ago now sat under $50. Then came the list of charges, and everyone hit like a punch. $19,200 at a luxury hotel, $8,700 for VIP bottle service at Marquee Nightlife, $6,900 spent at Dior, $5,200 dropped at Cartier, and then smaller charges, several hundred at restaurants, lounges, cocktail bars, even a $500 ATM withdrawal. The entire fund had been drained, almost to the penny. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. Maybe her card had been cloned. Maybe it was a banking mistake. I was trying to convince myself of anything that didn't involve betrayal. I was about to call customer service when another notification lit up my screen. It was a video, Tessa's group story. There was no mistaking what I saw. Cynthia was in a sparkling gold dress, her hair styled loose, sunglasses on even though it was night. She was in the middle of a crowded nightclub, dancing with a champagne flute in hand, shouting something over the pounding music. Behind her, a banner read, "Bachelorette Weekend, Vegas." Tessa had captioned the clip. "She's going big before the big day." In that instant, Everything fell into place. Cynthia had told me she was going away for a quiet spa retreat, a few hours out of town. Just her and a few close friends, something laid back and peaceful. Instead, she'd flown across the country, burned through every dollar of her parents' wedding gift, and lied to my face. I didn't write a long message, no rant, no confrontation, just 2 words: have fun. Then I put the phone down and sat in silence, watching everything we'd built collapse, not because of some mistake, but because of a choice she made. Oddly, I didn't break down. The panic dulled, replaced by something colder, an eerie stillness that brought with it a kind of precision. My first step was to call a locksmith. The apartment had 3 locks on the door, and I wanted all of them replaced before she returned. Then I opened up the wedding spreadsheet. One by one, I started dialing vendors. Some of the payments were gone for good: $10,000 lost to the venue, $5,000 to catering, and another $3,500 tied up in photography. I covered those amounts from my own checking account. I didn't want future arguments about who owed what. It stung, but at least there would be no confusion. But the most difficult call still lay ahead. I tapped Elaine's number and waited. Her voice came through, cheerful as always. "Tom, how are my 2 favorite lovebirds doing?" I took a breath. "Elaine, I need you and Samuel to be sitting down for this." Her voice immediately fell quiet. Without a word, she called for her husband to join her. Then I told them everything: the emptied account, the Vegas transactions, the footage. I laid it all out calmly and factually, like reading an incident report. Elaine's voice dropped, thin with disbelief. "Are you certain? Couldn't it have been someone else using her card?" "No," I said, steady but clear. "I saw the video. This wasn't a mistake or fraud." A silence settled, tense and heavy. Then Samuel finally spoke, his tone deliberate and controlled. "Tom, don't take any drastic action until we've had a chance to talk to her." "I already have," I told him. "The wedding is off. The locks are changed." There was a long pause, quiet, heavy. Then Samuel said, "We'll speak with our daughter." "Do what you need to." After I ended the call, I sat in the apartment alone. Her things were still scattered across the place. I packed a small bag with only essentials, some clothes, her laptop, toiletries, and placed it beside the door. For the first time in nearly 4 years, the space felt entirely mine. 2 days later, Cynthia returned. I heard her trying her key, once, twice, and then pause. A few seconds passed. Then she jiggled the doorknob and knocked hard. "Tom!" she called, her tone sharp and irritated. "My key's not working." "Open the door." I stood just inside, arms crossed. "It won't work." I had the locks changed. There was a moment of stunned quiet, followed by a bitter laugh. "You've got to be joking," she snapped. "You're seriously locking me out because I went on a girls' trip?" That money was ours. I was just celebrating before the big day. Everyone does it. I kept my voice calm. Most people don't burn through $45,000 of their parents' gift partying and shopping. Her voice shifted, softer now, trying to reason. "It was one weekend. We can get past this. You're blowing it way out of proportion." "You drained every cent, Cynthia," I said. "There's nothing left. The wedding's canceled." She pounded on the door with both fists. "You're throwing everything away because I had fun for a few days?" I didn't answer. Headlights swept across the windows. A car door slammed outside. Voices carried across the lot. "Cynthia!" Samuel's voice cut through the air like a knife. "Step away from the door." She spun around, startled. "Dad? Mom? Why are you here?" Elaine's footsteps echoed as she approached. "We saw the charges. We saw the video. You lied. To him and to us." Cynthia's voice turned sharp. "It was my bachelorette weekend. Everyone does something crazy. Why shouldn't I?" "Because it wasn't your money," Samuel replied, his voice flat and weary. The last 2 days had clearly taken a toll on him. "It was a gift for your future. Not for champagne and luxury shopping." "I'll repay it," she shouted. "I'll get a second job. I'll make it right." "With what?" Samuel shot back. Your boutique salary? That won't even touch the interest. He gestured toward their car. Let's go. For a split second, Cynthia's face fell, not in anger, but in fear. She turned toward the door, maybe hoping I'd open it, that I'd say something, do something. But I stood still. I didn't speak. Elaine gently placed her hand on Cynthia's arm. It's done, sweetheart. Time to go. Cynthia didn't protest. She followed them out. When their tail lights disappeared down the road, the apartment settled into silence again. But the quiet didn't last. By the next day, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Notifications, messages, tags. Tessa had taken to Instagram. She posted a dramatic story, calling Cynthia a brave woman who escaped a toxic, controlling man. She preached about how weak men fear strong women. The comments came in waves. Strangers threw insults at me from behind usernames I'd never seen. I didn't respond. I didn't even block anyone. Let silence speak for me. 3 more days passed. Then a certified letter arrived. The envelope was thick, the contents printed on high-end, glossy paper. Brandon Keene, attorney at law. The letter accused me of causing Cynthia emotional distress and financial instability by ending our engagement without warning or justification. It argued that, because we had lived together for more than 2 years, our relationship qualified as a domestic partnership, giving her legal claim to shared property. Her request? A lump sum of $60,000, supposedly to help her recover and rebuild. I read the document twice, then set it down carefully on the table. For a brief moment, I almost admired the sheer nerve. Then I opened my laptop and started composing a formal response. My tone was calm and assertive. I attached a comprehensive bank record outlining Cynthia's withdrawals, $45,000 gone in just 4 days, splurged on upscale hotels, clubs, and luxury shopping during her Vegas trip. Alongside it, I included screenshots of Tessa's social media, images of Cynthia clinking champagne glasses, surrounded by shopping bags, grinning with friends. I also attached a signed letter from Samuel and Elaine, stating clearly that the money was a gift strictly for wedding purposes, and that Cynthia bore sole responsibility for its misuse. My reply stated, Mr. Keene, any effort to pursue this meritless claim will result in a harassment countersuit, as well as a formal complaint to the state bar. The only party harmed here is myself, though her parents have already taken responsibility by reimbursing the vendor losses. Your client's financial situation is entirely self-inflicted. Consider this matter resolved. After clicking send, I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. That evening, Samuel called. Tom, I promise you, we had no idea she'd gotten a lawyer. That was Tessa pushing her, he said, weary. I believe you, I replied, but this has to end here. And it did. The next morning arrived with an unfamiliar peace. No new messages, no social media storms, no further legal threats. Just silence. Then, 7 days later, I answered a knock at my front door. 2 uniformed police officers stood in the hallway, with Cynthia standing behind them, arms folded, trying to appear wounded. Sir, one officer said, we've received a report suggesting you may have evicted your fiancée unlawfully. She claims this is still her place of residence. I kept my expression neutral. Officers, the lease is solely in my name. Would you like to review the documentation? I laid out the lease paperwork on the table for them. I also handed over the same bank records and screenshots I'd previously sent. One of the officers flipped through the pages, his expression tightening as he read. Then he turned toward Cynthia. Ma'am, this isn't an unlawful eviction. This is a civil dispute. If you want to contest it, your option is through the courts. Cynthia's composed front began to slip. You don't understand, Ma'am, the officer cut her off. You need to leave the premises. I returned to the kitchen and sat down. I wasn't triumphant, just worn out. That weekend, Samuel arrived in a rental truck. We boxed up Cynthia's belongings together. Neither of us spoke much. Just before driving off, he paused at the tailgate. Tom, he said gently, I'll cover the vendor costs you lost. I just need a little time. A week later, a cashier's check arrived in the mail, $18,000. Exactly what I had covered out of pocket. Meanwhile, the public narrative around Cynthia began to crumble. It didn't take long for word to spread. Her extravagant Vegas spree wasn't just reckless. It was funded with her parents' money, meant for a wedding. Tessa tried to twist the story online, but her efforts fell flat. Even mutual friends began distancing themselves, especially after vendors started chasing Cynthia for unpaid bills she'd promised to handle. In those quiet days, I focused on reclaiming my space. I sold the couch we had once picked together, took down the framed photos, and replaced them with my own prints. For the first time in months, I felt free from the consequences of someone else's chaos. By the middle of the next month, Cynthia had moved out of her parents' home. According to Samuel, she struggled with the structure and expectations. After 6 tense weeks, she packed up and walked out. She ended up sharing a small apartment on the outskirts of town with 2 women she barely knew. Rumor had it she worked reception at a salon by day and waitressed in the evenings, barely keeping up with her bills and facing mounting credit card debt. Her relationship with Tessa didn't survive either. Eventually, one of the designer shops sent an invoice for merchandise Cynthia had taken, promising to pay later. When she ignored it, Tessa tried to cut ties. Screenshots of their messages began circulating, full of blame and bitterness, each accusing the other of starting the chain of events that ruined everything. As for me, I was already looking ahead. I embarked on a solo trip overseas that lasted a little more than 3 weeks. It wasn't revenge I was after, it was peace. I needed to step away from the chaos, to clear my thoughts. I hiked through isolated mountain trails, ate quietly at small, nearly empty cafes, and spent long hours riding trains, alone with my reflections. Each day seemed to peel away a layer of weight. By the time I returned home, Cynthia wasn't even on my mind. The drama had faded. Without fresh scandal to fuel it, the rumors died off. My phone was silent again, and I welcomed the quiet. The future no longer looked broken. It felt open and full of possibility. 6 months later, I unexpectedly saw Cynthia again. It was a damp, overcast Tuesday morning. On my commute, I ducked into a cafe to grab a plain black coffee and waited near the counter. As I turned to leave, I spotted her in the queue. She hadn't noticed me. She looked smaller somehow, like the months had slowly worn her down. When she reached the register, she handed over a few crumpled bills and ordered the cheapest option on the menu. I didn't move. I just watched for a moment. The woman who had once danced in a sequined dress, sipping champagne in Las Vegas, was gone. Standing there now was someone stripped of bravado and shine. Then she looked up and saw me. She stopped cold, clearly startled. For a moment, I thought she'd turn and walk out, but she stayed. A strained smile formed on her face. "Tom," she said quietly, "do you have a minute to talk?" I met her gaze and shook my head. "There's nothing more to discuss." Her lips quivered. "I know I made mistakes. I was hoping maybe we could—" "No," I said, steady and composed. "You chose your path. I chose mine." There was no anger in my voice, no sense of victory, only finality. I picked up my coffee, walked past her, and stepped out into the rain. At home, tucked away in the bottom drawer of my desk, there's still one last remnant from that time, a single bank statement. At the top, it shows the $45,000 wedding gift from Samuel and Elaine. Below that, the charges, Vegas hotels, high-end clubs, boutique spending, and a large cash withdrawal. Just 2 entries, but they say it all. I didn't save it out of bitterness. I saved it as a reminder that trust can vanish in a heartbeat, that restraint matters more than reaction, and that sometimes the most meaningful revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's choosing stillness. It's moving on. It's keeping your dignity while the rest burns behind you.